सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। This is the 6th of the series, and we have seen the first 3 anuvakas of Rudram and the Laghu Nyasa. So the 4th anuvaka, I'll read it first, chant it first, and then you will repeat with the one that we have to start from today. For those of you who want to follow, you can print it off of our download section, wherein you have Rudram in at least 4 languages. So you can download it from our website and bring a copy so that you can follow along as well. Nama avyadhinibhyo. So this I am starting the 4th one immediately after the 3rd anuvaka. Nama avyadhinibhyo vividhyantibhyascha vo namo nama uganabhyastragam hatibhyascha vo namo namo gritsebhyo gritsapatibhyascha vo namo namo व्रातेभ्यो व्रातपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो गणेभ्यो गणपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो विरूपेभ्यो विश्वरूपेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो महद्भ्यः क्षुल्लकेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो रथेभ्यो रथेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो रथेभ्यो रथपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः सेनाभ्यः सेनानिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः क्षत्रुभ्यः संग्रहीतृभ्यश्च वो नमो नमस्तक्षद्भ्यो रथकारेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः कुलालेभ्यः कर्मारेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः पुञ्जिष्टेभ्यो निषादेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः इषुकृद्भ्यो धन्वकृद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमो मृगयुभ्यश्वनिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः स्वभ्यश्वपतिभ्यश्च वो नमः. Of this entire 4th anuvaka, we have seen till the Uganabhyastragam hatibhyascha vo namaha, the 2nd line in the anuvaka. Now the 3rd line you will repeat after me. Namo gritsebhyo sebhyo gritsapatibhyascha वो नमो. So in this anuvaka as well, we have Ubhaya Namaskara, meaning in the beginning there is a Nama and in the end there is a Nama. Salutations to you, O sir, salutations. So when you get poetic, you use those syllables or use those words little more often than it is necessary. So here that could be one gesture. Then it could be sheer intensity with which the devotee is offering the salutations. And because of that intensity, sometimes, when we are feeling really down or when we are feeling really bad, and even when we are trying to apologize, don't we say, it's not just, I'm sorry, I'm really very sorry, I don't know how else to say it, but sorry again. So don't you say it so many times just to show the intensity? So similarly here, now that the devotee the seeker has, offered himself completely unto that Lord, and he is seeing the amazing, beautiful aspect of that Lord. So in return, all that the devotee can offer is his salutations to that Lord. So Namo Namo. Gritsebhyah gritsapatibhyascha namaha. Namaha, salutations. Gritsebhyah, gritsebhyah, gritsa or gritsana, it means to covet, to be greedy. Gritsebhyah namaha, salutations to the one who is very greedy. What a salutation! Have you ever thought of saluting the Lord, and that Lord who is supposed to be very greedy? That's why reading through the Upanishads and these various mantras, the face value is one thing, but the intended meaning is totally different. If you go by the literary meaning, probably we will be lost. Sometimes when I read the Westerners who comment on the Vedic scriptures, it's hilarious. I don't need any Tom and Jerry book to be, or a cartoon to be watching. The kind of interpretations that they give is so superficial or very literary that the actual purport of this entire mantra gets lost. But literally meaning, gritsebhyah, salutations to the one who is extremely greedy, greediest among the all. Gritsa patibhyascha, the Lord of greed, salutations unto you. Vaha, unto you. Namaha, salutations. Now, who is the greediest one? One meaning is the Lord who appears in the form of fire. Now, fire is such quality that it shows its greed. Agni Devata can consume whatever you throw into that Agni. There is no quality verification, nothing required. Anything that goes into that fire, he can devour. And his greed is quite obvious, that you keep pouring in and he will keep taking it in. There is that story in Mahabharata that Agni Devata came down to Bhagavan Krishna and Arjuna, saying that so much of ahutis are being given and I have been consuming all these things and I have a little digestion problem. I have been consuming so much. So then Bhagavan looks at Arjuna and says, this forest is full of herbs, offer it to fire god. So probably they have taken all the precautions of evacuating the forest and then making sure that the forest fire is contained, and then he releases his Agni Astra, and that Agni Astra devours the entire forest. So this is the story that he can devour anything. So, to that Agni, who is the greediest one, and to the fire deity which is invoked, to such fire is my salutations. Now, this fire is an intrinsic quality which is required for any sustenance. Our human body has to remain under certain constant temperature. Any imbalance in that temperature, it can lead to disastrous conditions. So, the intrinsic quality of the sustenance of the body is fire. Entire earth, the core of earth is also fire. And because of that throbbing fire inside, that there is the seeming balance maintained, the seeming gravity maintained, the seeming rotation around its own self as well as around the sun is spinning around because of that center core, which is fire. And they figuratively also we use, right, that when you have to achieve something, you need to have that fire in you, and with that fire you can actually achieve anything. To such fire deity are salutations. This is the first meaning. The second meaning, gritsebhyaha vishaya lampataha ityarthaha. Now, that was at the Adi Daivika state. Now, at the Adhyatmika level, there is this fellow who is constantly greedy. Who is that fellow? The one who is a mixture of kartrutva and bhoktrutva, doership and enjoyership. And this mixture of doership and enjoyership is called the ego. So, our ego, the jivatva and the ego containing that, the jiva containing that ego, are constantly indulging in this world. Is there any time we say enough? Is there any time that the ego says enough? I have indulged enough, let me now back off. Let me say enough. In fact, we end up hearing that the world is not enough. And what is that Rig Veda mantra that says that there is enough for every person's need, but not enough for one man's greed. And why does this jiva constantly indulge in this kind of sense pleasure? Because at the end of every indulgence, there is a certain amount of pleasure that reflects in that experience. Though we wrongly attribute that particular, the spark of pleasure that we get at that end of the experience, we attribute it to that vastu, to that vyakti, to that paristhiti, to that time, to that space, to that individual, to that object. We attribute that pleasure. But inherently it is that Chidananda, that conscious blissful nature, which is giving itself a little jhalak, a little exposure out into our mind. That is the inner core which is reflecting. And because of that pleasure, we constantly are in this greed to constantly grab, indulge, interact, any which way, whatever we can lay our hands on. So, gritsebhyaha means this particular ego, which has this quality of mardana shilaha. Mardana shila, it constantly wants to go out into the world, rupture everything to find if it has that amount of pleasure that it is trying to find. From the cavemen till now, if we accept from the cavemen philosophy from the cavemen up till now. Every single effort was for this craving pleasure. And it is that Chidananda Shiva Swarupa which is reflecting in that small amounts of pleasure. Without me being that very nature of happiness, I cannot enjoy, I cannot find that happiness in the world of objects. Even to wrongly attribute, there should be something sustaining it. What would be our condition? This is just an imaginative tangent to the present logic. If you can imagine, if your being, if your core of being was not of the nature of happiness, was not of the nature of bliss, and we try to indulge with the world of objects, it would be the most tasteless experience, most futile experience, because neither you have the sustaining happiness, nor the world can give you happiness. But what are you in search of? Probably we will not be searching for happiness, we would be searching for something else probably. And who is the Lord of this Ananda? Who is expressing as this core of our being? It is that Lord alone who is expressing, enlivening. That Ishvara alone is enlivening this Deha, this body, because of which there is the tingling feeling in every sense organ. The tingling feeling is in the mind, in the intellect, constantly craving for that Ananda, just to feel good. From that perspective of eternally seeking that happiness, each one of us is a great Rishi. Why are we great Rishis? Because how many ever times we fail, we don't give up that basic instinct to find happiness. If not in this person, something else. If not in this vastu, something else. Constantly searching and seeking. We will beat ourselves to no limits if there was a seeming opportunity missed. That which would give us a better pleasure than the existing pleasure. Ask those who have missed the interview. Ask those who have come to the interview and not selected. Ask those who have gone through the exams and missed it by 0.01%. The GRE, TOEFL, I don't know what are the GMAT, MCAT, all cats, dogs, all things that we write. Different exams, right? Now, why are we writing all these things? To find something better. And if in that one opportunity is missed, we will beat ourselves up. I don't know why I am not getting it, the stars are not aligned, my life is like this only, I need to get it now. The intensity is really strong. And who gives that Ananda? It is that Vishveshwara alone, who is the core of our being, Gritsapati. The pati of that ahankara, the actual true sense, who is giving, sometimes when he hits that indulgence, there is a little bit of jhalak of that ananda. Something is revealed. Gritsebhyaha, gritsapatibhyascha vo namaha. So, on one way, he is worshipping and saluting that Agni Tattva and the Ishvara of that Agni Tattva, who is Parameshwara himself. On the other hand, he is also worshipping Gritsebhyaha, That basic zeal with which we search for, seek for that ananda, that jivatva, is called gritsebhyaha. Lord, you alone can give the ultimate happiness, because you are the very boss of this entire creation. Gritsapatibhyascha vo namaha. Moving forward. The next part of the mantra says, repeat after me. Namo vratebhyo vratapatibhyascha vo namaha. Namo vratebhyo vratapatibhyascha vo namo. So this is the next mantra. Namaha vratebhyaha. Vratebhyaha. Salutations to those. Vrata means those who belong to different jati, different varna, different classifications of people. There are those who are the masons. So what do the masons do? They build. So a group of them, that entire jati is called that particular mason vrata. If there is a blacksmith, if you go to the old cities, I am not talking about the downtown. If you go to the old part of the cities, especially back in India, you will find that the entire street is named after that particular vritti, that particular profession. And sometimes that entire group gets a last name of that particular profession. Like you find especially Parsis or Sindhis, I don't know, one of them, who have the last names Parsis, right? Fruit wala. Fruit vrata, the community of fruit sellers. Batli wala. Have you heard of that name? Batli wala. Yeah. Lohar. No, there is one which I really am amused to. Raddiwala. This is the Parsi last name, Raddiwala. Raddi means buying scrap. And the reused and recycled. So those who buy that, they are called Raddiwala. And their last name is that. Batliwala, Raddiwala, Sonar. Or even in the in the other communities, you will find not just the Parsis, even in the other communities, if somebody is into the say astrology, so probably they will have the last name Joshi. If somebody is into say business, they have Gupta, because they know how to keep things Gupta. Treasures have to be Gupta. Gupta means secret. Guptas and the Agarwal. Gupta, Agarwal, so Baniya. Baniya is a business community. So these are all Vrata, different communities. This is one meaning of Vrata. Salutations to those who express in different communities. Vratapati. Vratapati, to the Lord of these different communities. Our salutations. So, one meaning I have already given. Vrata means communities. Vrata has another meaning. It is a very specific Vedic meaning. Those who do not come under the qualifications of Vedic communities. Now, for understanding this, now I think it will be a easy example to understand in today's world. And I will be treading a really thin ice here, so have a little patience with me. Why thin ice? Because it is a very disputed topic that I will be dwelling through. Untouchability was or is still quite prevalent in the Hindu community. This is what has been constantly criticized of the Hindu community. So, let me ask, who are these untouchables? This is what we have come to believe, that Shudras are the untouchables. In fact, Shudras are not the untouchables. This is the Max Mullerian twist given to the Hindu religion, and we being Hindus, we firmly believe it, though we see the reality contradicting it. Now, who are the Shudras? Mason is a Shudra, right? Mason who builds the house. When there is a house repair, don't they come into your house? Are they the untouchables? Dhobi is the washer, not cleaner, the washers. So, if they don't come into your house and touch your clothes, how are they going to wash? Blacksmith, the doors and the windows have to be fixed, which is done by the blacksmith. Goldsmith, right? I can go with various such examples. These are Shudras and they are part of our community and they are not untouchables. And many of us are our own Hindu friends, we don't understand where did this origin of untouchability come from into existence. Every community, as it expands, there is this group of people who get excommunicated. How do they pronounce it? Ostracized? Did I say it right? Ostracized. Whether they belong to Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, there are certain sins that have not to be committed. And when such sins are committed by any one of the Varna, they get ostracized. Either they have to go through the capital punishment or get branded and get kicked out of the community. When we have population which is throbbing like in the tropical areas of India, every kingdom expels, and these communities which are expelled, when they are thrown into the forest or away from the kingdom, they form their own group. Such groups specifically are called Vrata. Such communities are called Vrata. And the punishment was given to them so that they do the prayaschitta of the sin that they have committed. And such untouchability is invariably practiced in every community, however modern they can assume themselves to be. Don't we have such untouchability here in America? Example would be making it very clear. Do you know how much population of American population? How much is American population? 309 million. Do you know how much percentage of it lives behind bars? 10%. Wow. 10% of 309 million is? Hey Ram. It's a huge number, right? Even if it were 1%, it would still be a huge number. Of these who have been put behind bars, who have been punished, what is the word? Incarcerated. There are certain crimes which are heinous crimes. You know, those who have had sins like rape or pedophile, after finishing their sentence, when they are released back into the community, and if they want to settle in your neighborhood, I think there is a law, right, that entire neighborhood should be first informed. They should register and they should be informed that there is such a person who is planning to move into your neighborhood. Are they welcome into such neighborhoods? Is that not untouchability? The similar crimes were committed by these who were excommunicated, which were called achuta, the untouchables. You don't even allow them to come into your neighborhood and settle in your neighborhood. Would you think of giving your daughters and sons in marriages to such? It is invariably, okay, let us take all the, people will get offended if I say it the way I am going to say it, but still. The forefathers of this country, who were they? Those who were sent into this land, here and in Australia, New Zealand and such places, they were sent to settle in these countries. Who were these people? The first time those people who had come, first batches of them. Because the prisons in Europe were overflowing, and all those people who were in that prison system, most of them, were they not excommunicated? Were they not the untouchables? So they have done certain things which are so, it brings jitters. So such community of them are called vrata. And even for such people, he is the vratapati. That for them, for their prayaschitta and moksha, Bhagavan Shiva openly welcomes them, provided they have the intensity to change and find salvation. You should take this message to all the prison system here, that here is your Lord who says you are welcome. Vratebhyaha vratapatibhyascha vo namaha. So in all these, the people who are, and first when we take it into the utilitarian word as vrata, which is all these communities, the Vedic connotation to it is all these people who are ostracized, who live in wilderness. Even for such people, for their salvation, for their prayaschitta and moksha, Bhagavan invites them with open arms, stating that if you really care for change, I will be the path for your change. Vratebhyaha vratapatibhyascha vo namaha. So next time when somebody asks about untouchability, please do not say that they are Shudra. Because Shudra are not the untouchable. It is such who were excommunicated. And instead of doing the prayaschitta, such people started settling families outside the kingdom. And to survive in such wilderness is difficult. And when they find it, to come back into the community, so the community was gracious enough to give them an opening. And what was the opening? To do the menial job. Those who are in the smashana, those who clean up the streets, all such menial jobs were given unto such people who were actually children of those who were excommunicated. If you look at the history, it doesn't seem unfair. But if you mix it up with the wrong notions, saying that these are the Shudra, Shudra are those who have their professional jobs. They are into different professions. Does it make sense? Sometimes these Vrata are also recognized as the Panchama Varna. Though technically there are only 4 Varnas, these excommunicated ones form their own communities, and such communities are called the 5th ones. Now this is the second meaning of Vrata. The third meaning of Vrata is the Vritti Samuha, the different thought patterns which carry different themes. When they are not in any control, when the Vritti is not in our control, such different themes of uncontrollable thought patterns are also called Vrata. And what is the method to bring them, tame them and balance them? Is when you can instill into that mind Vratapati, the one who can bring the U-turn into that thought process, and to make the most tamasic thought, transform it into the most sattvic aspect. To such Lord of the Vritti Samuha is called the Vratapati. Vratebhyo Vratapatibhyascha vo namo. They have given 3 different sets of meanings for this word Vrata. Now the final thing is, when those who have deforms or various other kinds of people who have been accepted by the Lord, when even the Pashu is accepted by the Lord, he is called Pashupati, right? In his service, Vrata, even though they have committed sin, they are still accepted by the Lord, because, as the saying goes, hate sin, but not the sinner. And it takes tremendous courage to implement that statement in life. When your own beloved one, your own trusted one, for whatever reasons, they come around and tell you a lie, how big a deal do we make out of it? You said something. I have lost trust, faith in you. I will not trust you anymore. Don't we make a big deal out of it? Can we at that time bring this principle that hate the sin but not the sinner? Can we bring that in? And if you really do bring that aspect in, then you become the Vratapati. You become one step closer to the Lord Himself. By forgiving and forgetting, you grow and you allow the other person also to grow. Vratebhyo Vratapatibhyascha vo namah. 4 different meanings given. Vratebhyo Vratapatibhyascha vo namah. Now the third mantra says, third as per in today's list. Repeat after me. Namo Ganebhyo Ganebhyo Ganapatebhyascha vo namo Ganapatebhyascha vo namo Namo Ganebhyo Ganapatebhyascha vo namo. Ganebhyaha. Historically, Bhagavan Shiva gives refuge to a group of people, and that group of people are called Ganas. And how are they? They are very peculiar kind of people, very abnormal kind of people who do not gel well with the society. Most of it is different kinds of abnormalities. Some of them may be autistic. Some of them have, the entire face has one eye. Nandi, Bhrangi, Chanda, Kundodara, Patanjali, Vyagrapada, Vinayaka. Now, all these are different ganas. If they were left alone in the society, they would have created enough havoc in the society, enough unrest in the society. But they had essentially some goodness in them. They were reacting to the way society was treating them. So what did Bhagavan Shiva do? He invited them and gave refuge to all of them. Ganebhyaha Ganapatibhyascha. So one particular story that I would want to narrate. It was Gurudev's birthday, and this was in Hyderabad. In the 5-6 years that I had known him, had a good opportunity to be there celebrating his birthday at least 3 times. So one of those times in Hyderabad, we were the Yuva Kendra, and it was such a big deal for us to celebrate Gurudev's birthday. So early morning, puja, abhishek, everything was done. Breakfast was also done. We chicks had made a cake, a vegan cake, sugarless cake, fat-free cake. He made such a big fun out of it. He said, "Oh, you made a cake," and that too, the cake had first time burnt, second time, it had collapsed inside. And it was a third attempt, and it came out, and we were already like in our wits' ends to make that cake. Nice, it came out really good. So Gurudev looks at it and, cake. You know that I am diabetic. I shouldn't be eating this. So we said, we have added sugar free. Those India used to get those little pills kind of a thing, sugar free. So he said, we added that. Said, I have a heart condition, so I shouldn't eat fat. So he said, it is fat free. And then he had some other stipulations, 3, 4, and we had taken care of all those 4 points. Then he looked at us. He said, there is no cream, no fat, no sugar. It is not even a cake. I will not cut such things. He was just pulling our leg, giving us some real tough time. Then finally obliged cut. After all that was done, one by one, people in the city who knew that it was his birthday, all these so-called big wigs, if you remove the wig, there are only thugs. The cream of the thug society. One by one started dropping in, wishing him birthday, and the familiarity with which they would sit across and talk to him. We were feeling so agitated. Why is Gurudev entertaining such people? And there was a discussion among those 15, 20 of us who were serving there, and finally mustered up some courage. For all such stupid things, they would put me in front. And I would also, very naive, I would jump in and I said, Swamiji, this would tarnish the image of Chinmaya mission if you allow and meet such people. He looked at me and roared back. He said, I am Chinmaya mission. And then he narrated this story. He said, if you have looked at Lord Shiva, he brings in all these ganas with the hope that he can change them so that they can become positive contributors to the society rather than contributing negative to the society. For the rest of those who are goody-goody, and these are the exact words that he said, for rest of those who are goody-goody, there is enough in scriptures to put them on the right track. If not for Chinmaya, who will take these dirty hands and clean them up? So that those hands can be put back into the society as a positive, productive contribution to the society. The whole perspective was entirely different. Ganebhyaha are such specific abnormalities in the society. Ganapatibhyaha, the one who is the Lord of such ganas. Salutations to both of them. Now there are so many ganas. In today's world, we can say, who are these ganas? Worker union. And all ganas are working, serving a purpose, and they have a union. So all such worker unions can be called as ganas. So this should be the slogan for anything in up north. Detroit, Boston, and all such places, because they are union-based workforce there. They said, our Lord accepts you also. So Ganaha means it's like in today's world the worker union. Ganas means, I'll come to that. That is why the Indian, it's called Ganatantra. Gana means uh, a group of villages that come together cohesively to form alliance so that they can support each other in all kinds of times. They are called Gana. And they elect, once in a while they elect their leader to lead in making certain critical decisions. So, all such small kingdoms, when they come together, they are called Gana. Earlier India was various kingdoms, all kingdoms united together to form that India, therefore it is called Ganatantra. And the lord of such Ganatantra. Now, who are these kinds of Ganas? Pramayadi Gana, Nritya Gana, Sangeeta Gana, Swarna Gana, Sthapati Gana, Suda Gana. Now, these are all different Ganas. Now, to all these different kinds of communities, the Lord does not show the difference, and that is the whole premise of Indian God worship, that whichever walk of life that you are in, God is equally accessible to you. You don't have to be in a certain stature to worship or to be qualified enough to worship God. You can worship God in any stature that you exist in. Therefore, and based off of this particular statement, there is one Hindi song which I, from the bottom of my heart, dislike. And the song is Maili Chadar Odke Aau Kaise Tere Dwar. It makes a statement that, oh Lord, I am not that pure. How can I even think of stepping into your threshold? So, my solution for them is, I will give you a soap bar and little water. Wash and come. And it will be my solution. So, the Lord is way ahead. He says, however you are, it doesn't matter. As long as you take those first steps to turn towards me, I will come and grab you. If the child has gone outside the house, just learned to walk and has stepped outside the house, and most of these children love to play in puddles of water, whatever be the merit of that water. Sometimes it is their own. They'll keep playing around. So the kid goes out, there is some rain or water puddle, and very nicely settles down inside, plays around, all dirty, murky, turns around, and a mother is calling, comes. Now, as a mother, I don't know about the father, as a mother, would you first pick that child and clean up, and then I'll give you a hug? Whatever condition that the child comes back to you with his arms stretched open, would you not rush to that child to pick that child up? Yes, no. You are still imagining, if the child really comes, what would I do? Yeah, I'm talking of that who has just learned to walk. Would you not pick him up? Similarly, when we chant Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva, Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva, when you say that, Lord, you are my father, you are my mother, you are my everything, as that parent, loving parent, would he ever deny? Would he first say that, you're not qualified to be in my presence? Bhagavan is not Suruchi with Uttanapada to say, hey Dhruva, you are not qualified to sit in the lap of your father. Bhagavan is that loving parent who would give that opening to everybody. That is called Ganebhyaha Ganapatibhyascha Vo Namaha. Another meaning of it is within our own existence, within our own system of existence, as I am existing as this individual, there are different ganas, different groups that function together to have a seamless form of life and existence. Dhi-karana gana, the buddhi and its functioning, the gana of it, the entire totality of it. Kriya karana gana, all the organs of action, all the inner equipment, antah karana gana. Then the pancha mahabhuta, those which have been grossified and those which have not been grossified, those which are manifest and those which have not been manifest, all that put together is pancha bhuta mahagana. Then the pancha pranas, the pancha pranas are the main 5, but there are actually 7 times 7 is what, 49? Okay, 49 pranas. Of all these pranas, it is the gana, the amalgamation, the coming togetherness of all these pranas. Then the kama gana, desires of different kinds. Then the karma gana, both at the vyashti and samashti, both at the individual level and at the totality level. For all these different ganas, for them to function seamlessly, who is the substratum on which they all can function? To such substratum, the Ganapati, Gananam Pati, the Lord of all such ganas, samudaya of all the collection of these things, is the Lord. So the request, the salutations is, O Lord, my intellect may not be straightforward. My indriyas may not be pure. My kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsara, these may be the very blocks for me to not get close to you. My antakarana may not be pure. My pranas may not have been tuned or trained, pranayama and other things. My pranas may not have been tuned. But with utmost sincerity, I turn towards you without delay. Please pick me up. Pick me up doesn't mean Ram Naam Satya hai. Pick me up doesn't here mean death. Pick me up to that purest state of existence. With all these encumbrances, I may not be able to jump that high. But I sincerely want to turn. You please pick me up. Ganebhyaha Ganapatibhyascha Vo Namaha. As we have already seen the Ganatantra and the Ganarajya, so it is the Deva Gana, Danava Gana and the Manava Gana. Similarly are born the Guna, Guna from the Gana. In fact, it is based off of the Guna that the Gana gets decided. What kind of Guna we display, whether we are Danava or the Deva or Manava, gets decided. So, O Lord, help me turn these gunas so that I can become your Gana. Gana meaning I can become your able servant. Ganebhyo Ganapatibhyascha O Namaha. The next mantra it says, repeat after me. Namo Virupebhyo Vishvarupebhyascha Vo Namo. Namo Virupebhyo Vishvarupebhyascha Vo Namo. See, whenever we use these syllables as an add-on to the main word, these syllables can be interpreted in different forms. Just because they can be interpreted in different forms, it has to also match the flow of the meaning. Now that Brahmachariji has been anointed as a Swami, so I can publicly use that word as to how we used to tease. His name was Vishruta, which actually means Vishesha Sruta, such an obedient student who, even before the command of the Guru, understands what the Guru wants and has already accomplished it. Such one is called a Vishruta. So we used to tease that Brahmachari said, you are not anywhere closer to that Vishruta. You are actually Vigata Shruta. You are somebody who don't even listen. So Vigata Shruta or Viparita Shruta. See, that word vi can be interpreted in different ways. That we say something but you understand exactly opposite of what we intend to say. Whereas it should have been Vishesha Shruta. So similarly here, Virupa, Rupa, form, Virupa, deformed, first meaning. Now this is directly addressing the Lord himself. Why is he called deformed? Have you ever seen somebody with 3 eyes? Any human being that you have come across with 3 eyes? No, isn't having 3rd eye a deformity? Another deformity is his choice of place of existence. When he comes into the Bhuloka, where does he live? Smashana Vasa. Something wrong, gadbad. Very dark personality, right? He chooses to live in Smashana. And what is his alankara? Snakes are his alankara. And what does he decorate himself with? What kind of ash? The ash from the Smashana. I think it was in Indore. Yeah, it was in Indore. That particular Shiva Linga, in the morning they have the Bhasmarati. It's a very elaborate puja that they do. And the Bhasma is from the Smashana. They bring this fresh Bhasma and offer it to that Shiva Linga there. All other deities, they are quite particular as to how they decorate. It has to be organic. You know, the Chandana, Kumkuma, Tilaka, whereas for him, it is ash. Bhasmodhulita vigrahaya. Sometimes when he does want to wear something, he wears, when he wears clothes, what kinds of clothes does he wear? Bagambara. Bhagambar is the tiger skin. And most of the times when he is in his trance, he doesn't even wear anything, he is Digambara. Definitely it is a D form. So Virupebhyaha Namaha. The only difference is, if it were our D forms, then it becomes a curse for us. So much so that if somebody is fat, you should not call him fat in this world. Why? Their little ego will get hurt. When somebody is bald, you shouldn't call them bald. When somebody is old, you shouldn't say that they are old. You could, these, they call it, I had to change my vocabulary, because I used to call it as old age home. Nowadays you are not supposed to call it old age home. What is it supposed to be called? Senior citizen home. If somebody is black, you cannot call them black. If somebody is brown, you cannot tell them that they are brown. If there is somebody, why? We will get hurt. Right? It becomes almost like a curse for us. Whereas for that Lord who has risen above all such identifications, that same very things which could have become a curse adorn his personality. To such transcendental one, Virupebhyaha, my salutations. The first meaning of Virupa. Second meaning of Virupa, Vishesha Rupa. Vishesha Rupa, it is such a special form of the Lord that even if you can get the glimpse of that form even in your dreams, it encaptures your mind with such intensity that there is nothing other than the Lord that you would ever think of, even once you get that one little jhalak, that one little glimpse of the Lord. Do you know the story of Mirabai? Have I ever told you that story? Mirabai, it seems, see, when that sadhu came into her house when she was growing up and saw that Govardhanagiri as his Ishtadaiva, she went so mad, saying that I want that Govardhana Krishna now, that one only. Now looking at that small child, intensely craving for his Ishtamurti, he gave his Ishtamurti to her. So it is said that she was, in her earlier life, a girl who got married from Barsana into Vrindavan. And her mother, that Gopika's mother, very clearly gave her instructions. When you enter into that Vrindavan, I hear so many stories of this naughty fellow there who has made their lives miserable. And who is he talking about? Bhagavan Krishna. Be careful with that fellow. Do not look at him, do not allow him to come near you. He made the instruction very clear. So that day when the marriage procession, marriage was done and the entire groom and the bride were coming back to Vrindavan, she was in a very well decorated cart, maybe a bullock cart, and the boy was on a horse and was coming back in a procession, and Bhagavan Krishna went there and he went talking to her, and she would not take her gungat, the veil that she was putting on. So Bhagavan Krishna would come from the back and then would bend down, and she would purposefully close herself up. He'd come from the front and and then she would close herself, not allow, not even talk to him. And this went on for a while. And then this Govardhana incident happens, that they were worshipping, offering puja to that Govardhana, and it rains like nobody has ever seen, and Bhagavan lifts the entire Govardhana mountain, and that was the first time that this gopi from Barsana had seen Bhagavan Krishna. One glimpse. And she felt so drawn to him. And Bhagavan, I'm sorry, Bhagavan said, this life, you asked for being separate and we will be separate. He did not allow that gopi to come. And it was in the next life, that chabi, that murti of the Lord that was seen, was so deeply engraved into that mind of that gopi. The next life, when she was born as Meera, she immediately identified that Govardhanadhari. That's why in all her bhajans, what does she sing? Mere to Giridhara Gopal, dusro na koi. A funny way of interpreting is, I don't like other forms of Krishna. I like this form of Krishna who is carrying Govardhana on his pinky. Even one slight glimpse of that Lord, and that remains permanent. When you go to the temple, after the puja, arati and everything is done, the pujari comes back and gives you some prasad in your hand. You are supposed to go out of that sanctum sanctorum and sit in the premises of the temple for at least 5-10 minutes. Most of us do that, but what do we do during that 5-10 minutes? We distribute prasad and dirty that temple complex and leave. It was not meant for that purpose. The purpose is that chabi, that form that you have seen just now inside when the arati was being performed. You take that form because it is fresh in your mind. Come back outside, sit, and then remember that form, remember that chabi, so that it is strongly etched into your heart. Vishesha Rupa, Virupebhyo Namaha. And the final meaning is amazing. Vigata Rupa, he does not have a form because he is Nirguna, Nirakara. Virupebhyaha. So one meaning is Vikruta Rupa, Vishesha Rupa, Vigata Rupa. He is Nirguna Nirakara. And because he is Nirguna Nirakara, he is Vishwarupebhyaha. See, something which already has a certain form and shape cannot take other forms and shapes. See, like water, you put it in any container, it assumes the shape of that container. Similarly, the Lord being Nirguna Nirakara, what does he do? He creates this beautiful creation, expresses himself as this creation, and expresses in every single form. So what is he essentially doing? He is playing what in the theatrics it's called Ekapatra Abhinaya. Abhinaya is to act. Ekapatra. There is only one person playing multiple characters. Have you ever gone to, what is it called in English? Mono act. Have you ever witnessed a mono act? Some of them are really so good. There was one brahmacharya ji who would do the mono action of one side he would act like Draupadi. He would dress like Draupadi. On the other side, if he turned, he would act like Shakuni. And he creates this arbitrary dialogue between Shakuni and Draupadi. Now here is this Lord for his Leela. What has he done? Umpteen number of characters. All of them played, directed, produced by himself for his Leela. But at the other end, what has happened? We have forgotten that we are the Lord, and what have we given importance to? The character. And we live as the character. And what is character called in Hindi? नायक is the actor. Character को नमूना बोलते हैं. If you understand Hindi, especially the slang kind of, एकदम नमूने बैठे हुए हैं. Each character is so unique samples that we are. Disidentified with the unique identity of that Lord, we give focus to this character. But it is the Lord alone who is enacting this entire creation. Vishwarupebhyo namaha. Virupebhyo Vishwarupebhyascha vo namaha. Next one. We will chant today, see tomorrow. Namo mahadbhyaha mahadbhyaha क्षुल्लकेभ्यश्च वो नमो क्षुल्लकेभ्यश्च वो नमो. So this we will see tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.